Hi, everyone. Welcome to this new episode of the India Insurtech podcast. Today, I'm joined by Pushkar, who's building health tech and Insurtech at Crypton Health Tech Consulting. Hi, great to have you with us. Would love to get started by getting to know you a little bit.
So, firstly, hi Prashant, thank you for having me. I am a health tech insurtech consultant and I have been in this space from the last 7 to 8 years, working on and off with the insurance sector as well. So, I have experiences on both sides in terms of client as an insurance company and also with working closely with the insurtech companies. So, that's where my experience and my entire repertoire, as we say, comes in.
Okay, fantastic. I'll get to my first question here, which is from your standpoint, would you be able to give us your current understanding and analysis of what's the current maturity of AI adoption in the insurance sector today?
Okay. I am already working on a few projects which are driven by some of my partners at insurance company level. And those involve digital transformations which are actively including newer AI solutions. Okay. So I'm coming from a more realistic ground level feedback that I'm getting right now. So it's actually a complete mix. So when I say that as a mix, what we need to understand is that the insurance space in India, somewhere after 2005, 2006, just burst open. And because of the growth potential that it had, the number of players that came in, there was a rapid focus on market penetration or top line. And somewhere there was, I wouldn't say IT was ignored, but it was more looked at in terms of just getting the job done, getting the bookings done, getting just focusing on latency and other issues. Now, what's happened is the market is looking at things very pragmatically. So, on one side, you have the insurance companies who are very open to AI, but somewhere they are very ROI sensitive now. So there is a clear-cut mindset in terms of, okay, I'm going to put in so much, how much I'm going to get back. The second component is their existing problem children that they have, mainly legacy, and the entire enterprise architecture, which is not really looking good, if you ask me. I'm being candid here. Okay, so that's the second part. And third is the insurtech companies. So the insurtech companies are doing a very good job and they are actually geared up and ready to deliver a lot of their solutions. They actually want to add value. So that's what this is.
Got it. Okay. Okay. And which areas are you seeing most measurable outcomes from a business impact perspective? Would love to know whether it's growth of new customers, cost efficiency, risk management, underwriting, customer experience. Which areas are you seeing most traction in?
Very good point. First is if I look at functional, AI is touching majorly operations underwriting claims because these are direct production hubs, okay, or servicing hubs as we call them. And from the IT standpoint, they are looking at automations to give out those solutions faster, more accurately, of course, and also without any latency. These are the three focus areas where things are coming in, and there is a growing demand. But what I see is once we become like a regular thing, AI becomes the regular solution, an accepted, adopted solution in the insurance companies, not just companies, you would not miss out on TPAs, brokers, and those players also. Once it comes to that stage, business analytics and development would jump leaps and bounds. A lot of opportunity there in terms of customer behavior, data centricity, data uh, engineering would become a major level once these three, four functions are completely embedded with automations.
Got it. From an embedding perspective, I'd like to also understand the channel of delivery or the method of delivery. Is it calling along with, yeah, I see calling a lot, so that's why I raise calling, but I understand, I'm sure there's obviously in underwriting, there is a lot of learning and self-learning in the systems that is happening. But if you can elaborate a little bit upon this.
Okay, sure, I can. So see, there is one thing which is on the retail side and one thing which is on the commercial side. So both are different, but they have similarities.
Yeah.
If we look at retail, what we are looking at is we are looking at a history of the client, uh, irrespective whether it is health mode or travel, whatever. And we are looking at how we have access to his historic data, whether he's within the company or beyond. How we assess that entire risk for that client is measured with the pricing. But this all has to be done with a lot of agility, right? So that's the common thing, if you ask me, between commercial and retail. Because what's happening is commercials are larger portfolios, and if anything can compute and get to that stage of identifying what is the best, I would say, approach to underwriting something, okay, then there have to be clear-cut benchmarks which are set, and those benchmarks can be checked real time with AI only. So AI adoption, whether it is retail or commercial, has a lot of similarities. The methods and tools that we use to arrive at those decision making, right, are very similar. One more thing I would like to add is that, see, when it comes to insurance companies, right, I know there are exceptions in the market, but I can clearly see a stage of evolution. And that evolution was initially everything was maintained within all the validations, all checks and balances, underwriting ops, everything was within the source code initially. Gradually, the BRMS and BRE and those kind of solutions came in. And now we are evolving to a stage where companies are going to start realizing that leveraging is the best way to move forward. So that's where that interdependency between the insurtech companies and the insurance companies, even brokers, would come in, where they are using the best solutions which are upgraded and updated from time to time. So AI being customized and deployed on prem is everything. Yeah, Pushkar.
Understood. Okay, okay. And I'd like to understand how Crypton is balancing the push for AI and what are your solutions like? I want to understand that.
Oh, brilliant. One is we need to understand what Crypton does. Okay. So usually you have insurtech companies who build a lot of production solutions which are required from time to time, and there are a lot of good solution providers in the market there. The best, if I would were to name a few, it could be TCS or somebody like GoodDB. There are a lot of good players. Okay, there is no perfect vendor. There's always a good and a bad with everything. It's all about a lot of variables like timing and understanding of what customizations are required and so on. So what we need to understand is that there is always a gap between what the solution provider wants to provide and what the client or the insurance company requires. And that gap usually comes not because it's intentional or because there's a disconnect. There are genuine variables. Okay, I
Mhm.
can just chat on this for hours, but since we want to stay online with our discussion. So somewhere there is always value addition that is required, okay, which is where Crypton comes in. So we work from the insurtech company side also, we work from the client side also. We identify what the gaps are, and as a consultant, we make sure that it's a win-win across the board. So for example, if I have built a product, which is, let's say, for computing commissions and commission cycles, right? Now, when I build a product, no product is 100% ready to be consumed. It is always 30%, and the actual customization is 70%. That's where at product implementation stage, things do not necessarily fall in place. And that's why you see constant challenges where insurtech companies and insurance companies are at loggerheads that this was not within scope, this is scope creep, and the budgeted and delivery timelines are getting exhausted, etc., etc. So that's where Krypton comes in. We do the forecasting, we are there at the right time. And since we are not insurtech, okay, we are consultants. So we make sure that it's a win-win. We know that if there are certain things that have been missed out by the client, we point those out to the client, give them an impact analysis on that, give those impact analysis to the tech partner also, and make sure that we are moving exactly where we are supposed to go. So that's one. Second is the question that you asked me. Let's say, for example, we are now working with one life insurance company where we are actually pushing for automation in underwriting. Okay.
Okay.
And where we have contributed is their initial expectation, you cannot expect that the client will have that creativity. No offense to them, but that's your job. That's where you come in to tell them actually how you can build the rocket. So what we told them is that not only should you have automations as a solution, but you should also have a console, a layer where you are able to interact with multiple vendors with filters, where you should be able to switch your automation traffic so that your OPEXs are in control and all other technical business interruptions are taken care. So that's one. And that gives them more visibility on what's profitable, what's not. So there are two things. One is an AI solution, and then comes the cost part of it. So if I know an AI solution is capable, but I'm bleeding through my nose, I may not want to bleed on my cost for
Right.
every proposal or every transaction. So I may not be okay with my cost of processing, is what I'm saying. So accordingly, we got in a console that came into scope. Then what we decided is that apart from this, what we are looking at is an in-house chat GPT solution. In it, we are looking at a user who gets a computed report for underwriting. Everything is done. Basis the cost, which is the most optimized and agreed cost, which is variable and configurable. And at the step of delivery, he just has to look at everything. But even at that stage, if he needs to do any background check, he doesn't need to leave that application. He can just prompt in his query and a real-time query resolution will be given to him. So it's a beautiful maker checker thing which will boost adoption gradually as we move forward.
Fabulous. And from your perspective, again, what's one strategic AI investment or decision that companies, industry leaders should take, which will really set them apart from the laggards in the next 3 to 5 years?
Very good question. I'm thinking where to proceed, but yes, okay. Let me give, I have many, so I'll give the one. If I have to pick one, I'll tell you which one.
Yeah.
And that is going to be digital transformation. Okay. And since it's a journey, my recommendation or my suggestion would be very simple. We all know AI is here. There's no disputing that. Now, we need to understand AI. We need to understand what it can do and use those to our benefit. When I'm saying our, I'm speaking across the board, all players, right? So now comes the most important thing. When we look at AI strategically, what we are looking at is we have our current challenges and we are moving into a much more
Yeah.
aggressive digital world, right? So not only do we do a lot of digitization where it's absent, but the environment outside, okay, is also doing a lot of digitization. Okay. Plus, there are regulatory frameworks which are coming in, which will force us to comply with them. So it is going to get more and more intense and it is going to be extremely rapid. So the best way to do this is to start adopting AI with a test and fail approach, to start testing the micro solutions and get that confidence that I'm not just doing hogwash implementations in my company, which are costing me not only money in terms of capex, also opex, but also time, because that is, I believe, the biggest opportunity cost that we lose out if we are investing in something for 2 3 years and the yield is not there. Not only have you lost and you have not got your ROI, but within that time frame, if you had implemented a correct solution, you would have moved forward with probably a 9 month period where you are looking at micro use cases which are more realistic, more practical. Okay. And you go with a top to down approach. So, what do I mean with that? If you try to stitch up your enterprise architecture, try to fix your vulnerabilities, all that is not going to happen. Okay. So rather than doing that, just take the digital transformation way. You start adopting this, and then you do the top to down approach where your ground feedback keeps coming in what's working, what's not working. And from the top, you start creating a new digital ecosystem, okay, where all your AI tools are gradually coming in. But that feedback that keeps coming from ground up gives you more and more visibility and confidence that what solutions you are now getting and arriving.
Yeah.
So let's face it, once you have moved into that direction in 5 to 7 years, you will constantly need to evolve, which is what digital transformation is. It has a stage, and then you need to keep on re-evolving. So it needs to come into the culture. And for that to happen, it has to be implemented initially at ground level, but the approach has to be top to down.
Yeah. Okay. So I think maybe it's you'd call it AI transformation more than now digital transformation. So I guess that's what it's. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying, and it's just been fantastic speaking with you, Pushkar. We are unfortunately now running out of time on the podcast, but it was fantastic to hear what you're doing, and good luck for your future projects with Crypton.
Thank you, Prashant. It was great being here, and I wish you also the very best.